Hello and welcome everyone to the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship, which is being held for the 5th time in a row here in Amman, Jordan. Today, we're one step closer to crowning our champion. We've reached the semi-final stage, which will determine the 12 drivers advancing to the finals tomorrow. But before we dive into the action, let me give you some insight on today's race. The car that we'll be using today is a Toyota Supra Racing Concept 18 in the GR3 category. It has a 3000cc turbocharged engine and it's a rear-wheel drive monster, generating around 519 horsepower and 514 foot-pounds of torque, weighing in at just over 1200 kilograms. The racers can use any tire of their choice, but they must use at least 2 tire compounds. Tire degradation is around X6, fuel consumption at X7. It's a 13-lap race around the Nürburgring GP circuit, and the weather forecast says it's going to rain. Looks like we're in for plenty of action in today's race. Let's go tune in with my colleague Dan Field for the commentary.
Welcome in, everyone, to the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Cup. It's the semi-finals about to take place where the top 24 drivers from the regional qualifiers of over 20 nations will fight for a spot in the final 12. It is Mohammed Hadi on pole alongside Abi Nakale. Al Karousi starts in P3 alongside Al Maraghi in 4th. It's Ibrahim in 5th position alongside Sham Abu Jabal. And Wissam Khalil starts 7th position alongside Graham Batta. In 9th position, it is Zaid Al Araiki alongside Musa Mehdi. And rounding out your 11 driver grid, it is Madi Boulian starting in 11th position as we get ready for this 13-lap race here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Mohammed Hadi starts on pole, and here we go. Headed down in towards the first corner, your 2024 champion will take towards turn number 1 as they all file alongside each other, heading to the first turn. Already some swapping of positions further back behind in P5. It's been all nice and clean at the front of the order, and a lot at stake here for the 5th iteration of the FIA MENA Esports Championship. They're all finding their footing, trying to get some temperature into the tyres. You're already seeing a little bit of a pack forming at the front. The top 4 breaking away from the rest of the field. As you can see, all of the drivers, unfortunately, one missing. So it's an 11 driver grid that we have today. Brilliant scenes that we are witnessing. Fantastic championship where, of course, your 2025 champion will not only win $10,000, but will also attend the FIA prize-giving ceremony in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So a lot at stake here. So we're looking at the battle for P6 at the minute. Abu Jabal is defending from Ibrahim. Abu Jabal, of course, a young and up-and-coming driver, a 2-time under-16 champion in this competition. Ibrahim, a bit of an unknown. And then Wissam Khalil, the 2022 runner-up, looking to take the fight. Now headed up the hill and in towards the chicane. Ibrahim very defensive to the inside line. Khalil trying to find the gap. We'll back off for the time being. It's a 13-lap race as Ibrahim very squirrely on the exit. You can see your 3 drivers at the bottom of your picture. Ibrahim very, very deep in towards that final corner as they will take towards lap number 2. Mohammed Hadi still leading the way here from Abi Nakale. They've broken away ever so slightly from 3rd and 4th position. Here comes Ibrahim looking up the inside into the heavy braking zone of turn number 1, down to 1st gear, short shifting to get the traction as soon as he can. And Abu Jabal, a fantastic defensive manoeuvre there in towards turn number 2 and 3. Of course, 20 nations make up the FIA MENA Esports Championship. The top 24 from the regional qualifiers are present here today. Unfortunately, we are missing just 1 driver on this grid. The top 6 from this race will advance to the final. Of course, we've got semi-final B left to come. Star-studded grid that we've got on offer today. Still, they all find their way in this race. Of course, they're running in the fantastic Toyota Supra on GT7, a brilliant car and game combination, especially around this circuit as well. Can make some very fun and entertaining battling. So we watch Abu Jabal head in towards now the downhill section. They've been able to catch up to Al Maraghi in P4. Of course, Khalid is a fantastic real racer. There's a 3-second time penalty already for an incident in the first corner, a collision, and it was Abu Jabal forcing his way up the inside of Ibrahim to take that P5 on lap number 1, and has taken a 3-second penalty for it. That will drop him down the order ever so slightly. As I was saying, Al Maraghi in P4, 15 years experience in racing. He's a bit of an FIA MENA Cup legend. He's been a finalist all 4 years, looking to make it 5 in a row. So Abu Jabal will have to give up this time. He'll lose that P5 position to Ibrahim. Of course, we've got the live stewarding here today. It's a fantastic LAN event that we are witnessing. And Ibrahim's still keeping it close to Abu Jabal. He knows that he'll have the penalty, but will want to make the move on pure pace alone. Now in towards Alex's left-hander, you can see how confident the Bahraini driver is. Downhill, off the exit of the corner, look how these drivers maximise every bit of circuit that they have got. This is why these are the best 24 out of all 20 nations participating in the MENA Esports Cup. First year that it is FIA-sanctioned, it's really gaining traction. It's a pleasure to be here. So here we are looking at the battle for the lead at the minute. Mohammed Hadi and Sami Joe Abi Nakale. Between them, 17 years of experience in racing. The 2024 champion leading this race from a 5-time local Rotax champion in karting. Incredible racing tenure between these guys. As Abu Jabal will hit the penalty marker, he'll drop all the way down into 8th position. We still witness the battle at the front of the order. Lap number 4 now begins. And Mohammed Hadi has led every single lap thus far. And coming in, of course, to this year's iteration of the FIA MENA Esports Championship, you would think that he is the driver to beat. He is the defending champion. Abi Nakale keeping it very close. You see their differing lines through turn at number 3, and I think the Lebanese driver has got the better of your champion, and he's closing that gap. Just 5/10 between them, half a second as they run. Beautiful circuit, what a beautiful game. A little bit wide through the exit of the right-hander for Mohammed Hadi, dipping a tyre into the gravel. He's able to keep it clean, and Abi Nakale again with these differing lines to one another. It really makes for an exciting battle because you never know which way it is going to go. Of course, it's a very short race that we have here for the semi-finals, 13 laps. We're on lap number 4. They will have to make a pit stop or two in this run. We'll see when the drivers begin to venture into the box. It's been nice and clean, other than the incident between Ibrahim and Abu Jabal in the first corner on the first lap. No one has really tumbled over one another. They've kept it nice and tidy as Abi Nakale incredibly late onto the brakes. Here are your two runners. Big correction there, and Mohammed Hadi goes very, very wide into the final corner. Abi Nakale trying to thread the needle and go down the inside. Can't quite find it this time but but with a run headed down the main straight could potentially cause some problems. As they approach the first corner for the 5th time in this race, Abi Nakale going to be a little bit more patient this time by. And Hadi, after that mistake, you saw his massive correction and the snap of oversteer. He had to save it, really. It was a fantastic effort from him there. Of course, some fantastic liveries that we've got on display. I love the Lebanese flag draped over this Toyota Supra. For all the corresponding nations in the Middle East, North Africa region, fantastic competition, uniting 20 nations, qualifiers throughout the year, leading to this LAN event. Once again, Abi Nakale a lot more confident on the brakes, following in the wheel tracks of Mohamed Hadi, who again is very wide off some of these corners, getting his tyres a little bit dirty, but not causing any problems for himself, as through the sweeping S's, these guys are flat out through here and in towards the braking zone, reaching around about 220 kilometers per hour, down into second position and immediately back on the power. Incredible amounts of downforce generated by these machines. Now downhill in towards this flat out right hander and in towards the uphill climb. That is, of course, the chicane, one of the heaviest braking zone on this circuit. Down into first gear, and you get the feeling that Mohamed Hadi is getting the better of Sami Joe at the moment, dropping him ever so slightly, but these two are much faster than the rest of the field. It is Wasif Al-Karousi in P3 at the moment. Khalid Al-Maraghi runs in P4. It's Ibrahim in 5th, Khalil in 6th. 7th is Batta, who is having to defend from Abu Jabal at the minute, just 600ths of a second. The cut-off, of course, the top 6 here, and so every position is vital. They have swapped over their spots. 9th position is Zaid Al-Araiki. Musa Mehdi is in 10th, and apologies, it is Madi Boulian in 10th, and Mehdi is all the way down in 11th. Must have had some sort of issue, some sort of mistake, as Ryan Batta gets back through on Sham Abu Jabal, who's had a very up and down race. These two still scrapping it out now and towards the next left-hander. Abu Jabal incredibly aggressive on the rear of him there. Off the exit of the right-hander, I get the feeling that Sham will be looking for a move. Batta very defensive to the inside line, around the outside for Abu Jabal in towards the long sweeping right-hander. And he hasn't got that one right. Too deep on the brakes. Batta is able to hold on to that position for the time being, but in all of this battling, these two are losing a number of a fantastic amount of time to their rivals. 5.5 behind Wissam Khalil. This won't be good enough for neither of them. And Sham, fantastic over and under move. They're making a little bit of contact and almost spin off into the grass. Somehow, some way, they've both kept it on the road. It's getting very competitive between these two, as now the pit stops begin to come out, cutting it exactly halfway for the two leaders. And Batta with an awful run off the exit of the chicane. They're both entering the pit lane at the exact same time, and Sham Abu Jabal will have to back up there, as Al-Karousi, Al-Maraghi and Ibrahim all stay out on circuit. 5 drivers now into the pit lane. We've got a nice battle for second at the minute. These guys got to get their fuel right towards the end of the race. They'll have 6 to go as they come out onto the circuit. And now this has turned into your battle for the lead. Al-Karousi leading the way ahead of Al-Maraghi. Ibrahim following behind. He's got half a second slowdown penalty, presumably for track limits. They are approaching the zone soon, so we'll have to consider how that comes into play. Al-Karousi, your leader at the minute, in the number 22, having to defend from the Qatari driver, Al-Maraghi. 15 years experience, a 4-time finalist here, one of the most tenured drivers on the grid, running in P2 behind Al-Karousi, who in himself is a local karting driver. He's got 5 years racing experience. Fantastic to see, as now Ibrahim still remains in P3. Rayan Bata has also got himself a penalty. We're on some wet running at the moment. The leaders still on their starting medium tyres. Through the chicane they go once more. These guys will take to the pit lane. The rain is here. The lights are on. It's an incredibly dark display. The pit crew getting ready for Al-Karousi to come into the pit lane. Will staying out later than all of the other runners play into the hands of these guys, or will it be their hindrance? Now taking to the pit lane. We'll see how they fare. Abu Jabal and Rayan Bata swap positions once again. That will be Rayan Bata serving his penalty. Now with the top 3 into the pit lane, Mohammed Hadi and Sami Joe Abinakale will be able to retake the lead of this race, and the rain really is pouring down. As they approach turn number 1, they'll have to be a lot more tentative both on the brakes and on the throttle. One mistake could be the difference from reaching the grand final and seeing yourself eliminated. Al-Maraghi has come out in P4. Not really gained anything, not really lost anything to the leaders. They'll have some fresher rubber to end off this race. We're on lap number 8 of 13. Just 5.5 laps left to go here. It's flown by in semi-final Group A. Can't wait to see how Group B gets on later on. Your top 6 will be advancing into the grand final at this fantastic LAN event in Jordan. Al-Maraghi looking for the final spot on the podium, following behind Wasif Al-Karousi. Fantastic event that we have here. Fantastic equipment, fantastic setups, and a big correction there from Al-Maraghi. He's done well to save it there. It's all about keeping the composure. They get a break down this straight and then have to take to the next left-hander, which they could take with so much more confidence in the dries. Now having to tiptoe their way around the circuit. And it is ridiculous how things have changed all of a sudden. I wonder how the weather will affect things in the second group that we have later on. Do sincerely hope that you are enjoying the festivities and the event that we have today. The first English broadcast of the FIA MENA Esports Championship. This tournament has come from humble beginnings and is really, really taking off. As we still have Abu Jabal following in the wheel tracks of Bata. These two have been locked at the horns for a long time. Now into the final corner, Abu Jabal with a fantastic move up the inside. Rayan Bata will look for a switchback on the exit, but the move is sealed and done as they approach turn number 1. Could Bata get a little bit more aggressive on the brakes? That remains to be seen in towards this hairpin corner where the inside will be incredibly slick. It'll be a nightmare to try and break on that line as we flick back to the leaders of Mohammed Hadi and Sami Joe Abinakale. These guys have been in a class of their own today. We'll see how they cope as they approach the final few laps in this race. And of course the final of this LAN event, as you see their differing lines once more. Abinakale very aggressive into the corner. This will compromise his exit, but I think he's gained some time with that very, very aggressive line. Mohammed Hadi struggling off the exit of the corner, now able to recuperate some time. It stretches back up to about 0.8 of a second here, but still it could go any which way. In towards the next left-hander now, feeding its way into the right. We ride on board and we see the two leaders in this race. A big snap of oversteer on the exit for Sammy Joe. We'll see how they take towards this corner, which is still flat out in these wet weather conditions. 235 kilometers per hour, but then they're slowing it down about 20 kilometers more than they would be doing in the dries. 4 laps to go this time by. And Sammy Joe has got a fantastic run, but again, another snap of oversteer off the exit of the corner. He'll pull out of the wheel tracks of Mohammed Hadi to keep some vision of the circuit ahead. Of course, the spray will be playing into effect. I believe Ibrahim has just got through on Al Maraghi to take P4 in this race. Abi Nakale still following in P2. Losing some time though, now it is stretched to over a second. We flick back to the battle for P4, where Ibrahim is through on Khalid Al Maraghi. This will be a fantastic boost of confidence for the Bahraini driver. Whoa. The Bahraini driver against the Qatari, and that's a poor run from Ibrahim. This will open the door for Khalid as they approach the long sweeping left-handed corner. They'll stay the way that they are for the time being, but you can see how much more confidence the Qatari has on the throttle. Now approaching the next right-hander. This will be a fantastic overtaking opportunity. Multiple lines that you can take through here. It's now in towards the corner they go. Ibrahim a little bit heavier on the brakes. This will open the door off the exit for Khalid Al Maraghi. He's got a fantastic run, pulling out of the wheel tracks, and will remain in P5 for the time being. You've got to be so careful on these curbings, of course. They'll be so slick. You could easily spin the car if you're not careful, if you carry too much speed. It's all about conservation, all about race management at this time. Just relax. Drive each corner as they come. There's a massive gap between 6th and 7th position at the minute. The cut-up, of course, being held by Wissam Khalil. The top 6 mostly remaining as they were in this race. The top 3 stay as they are. They've swapped 4th and 5th, and then Wissam Khalil started this race in 7th position, is now ahead of Sham Abu Jabal and will make the transfer at this point. Lap number 11 now begins. Wissam Khalil, we are on board with him. He looks towards the outside line of Al Maraghi, who goes a bit defensive to the inside. Possible over and under switchback move is on the cards once again. Wissam Khalil using all of the circuit that he can, trying to find an opening to make the position for P5. 9th and 10th position have swapped. A very interesting call from Al-Araiki and Mehdi to go onto a set of the wet tyres. It's just not come their way in this race. Intermediates was certainly the way to go. The brilliant battle still remains for P4. They're 3.1 seconds behind the battle for 3rd, who's a further 7.7 off the leaders, who in their own right have begun to separate. It is very difficult to follow, very difficult to battle in these wet conditions. As now we watch them climb the hill once again, where they could fearlessly take these corners earlier on. Now they must tippy-toe, because a spot in the finals, a chance to compete for $10,000 and a trip to Tashkent for the FIA Awards giving ceremony, where all the Formula 1 races will be, and some of the motoring legends will be in attendance. A fantastic experience and opportunity for any of these drivers, and they'll be fighting tooth and nail for it. If not now, certainly in the finals. The two leaders are crossing the start-finish line to begin lap number 12. 2 laps to go in this race. How will things pan out? Will they stay as they are, or will they swap over? Wissam Khalil, we go on board with him. He's incredibly aggressive on the back of Khalid Al-Maraghi. This has been a fantastic race for Wissam. The Saudi driver has been able to claw his way into the top 6, and once again with an incredibly late braking move gets right onto the back of the Qatari driver. Will remain in P6. There's no point taking any risks as it stands. And they remain as they are. They'll have one more crack at the whip to go for another move on the final lap by. It might seem futile at this point. There's no point throwing away your chance at competing in the finals, as Mohammed Hadi, with a very deep run through the right hand of the very southernmost point of the circuit, now climbing uphill once more. Because of that deep run, he's able to get on the power, use the momentum that he had, and hold on to that lead. But Sami Joe is incredibly aggressive on the back of him, headed in towards the next left-hander. Mohammed Hadi could see this lead slipping away from him in the semi-finals. Through the right-hander, and now flat out through this section. Sami Joe with a mistake off the exit, it looks like, just trying to pull out of the spray. He wants to be able to actually see where he's going, spot his braking markers in towards the chicane. One of the heaviest braking zones along this circuit. How there exits through here. Plenty of drivers coming a cropper, but not this time by. As Mohammed Hadi, he still leads this race, but Sami Joe wants to go for the glory. This is all for the pride as they begin the final lap here in semi-finals Group A. What a start to the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship. Sami Joe, he's clawed back the gap. As now in towards the first corner, there you go. Mohammed Hadi going very defensive. Sami Joe off the exit with the switchback move. A fantastic overtake. He's now around the outside through the next left-hander. Mohammed Hadi still keeping his foot in there. He's still on that inside, but I do believe Sami Joe might finally have this move in the bag. A fantastic battle between these two titans of this sport. And Sami Joe, for the first time in this race, leads the way on the final lap. You see the disappointment, the shake of the head from Mohammed Hadi. He knows that he could have held on to that lead, but he's choked it on the final lap. Still an opportunity to retake the lead here. Fantastic battling all throughout. Sami Joe has been following and following for 12 laps here. Finally got a good run off the exit of the chicane and saw his opportunity, grabbed it with both hands and took it for himself. Now Mohammed right on the back of him, headed in towards the second sector. Beautiful battling that we are seeing, and if this is a teller of what this championship can be about, well, you'll want to stay tuned for the finals, because that is when every position, every corner really matters. And again, frustration on the face of Mohammed. He seems distracted at this point. Sami Joe, all he has to do is navigate the final couple of braking zones for the final time. Taking to the last corner, starting this race from P2. Sami Joe, Abi Nakale, when it mattered most, took the position, took the lead from Mohammed Hadi. They will come across the line 1 and 2, but this time Sami Joe, an okay from him there. He's very pleased with that performance. Wasif Al-Karousi will come across the line in P3. Ibrahim in 4th, Al-Maraghi 5th, Khalil in 6th, making the transfer. And then a long way back to 7th position behind. Incredible stuff. Incredible battling from all of these runners. We will await the final few competitors to come across the line. Sammy Joe Abi Nakale will book his ticket into the final and stamp his authority in semi-final Group A. He will win this race ahead of Mohammed Hadi. Commiserations to Mohammed. It was an infatuating battle between these two that was going which way ever. It was incredible. Any which way that could have gone. Abu Jabal finishes in 7th ahead of Bata in 8th. Boulian in 9th. And Sammy Joe Abi Nakale will win the first race as we await semi-finals 2.
And that concludes the first semi-final race with 6 drivers from Group A advancing to the finals. We saw an incredibly close fight for first place between Mohammed Hadi and Sammy Joe Abi Nakhle, with Sammy Joe staying right behind Hadi's bumper up until he saw the perfect moment to strike. A very impressive showing from all the drivers in Group A. But for now, let's go back with my colleague Dan Field for coverage of Group B as they get ready to take the stage.
Welcome back for the second semi-final here in the FIA MENA Esports Championship. After a fantastic race 1 in Group A, Group B will take to the stage as Al Faleh on pole position by a second over Abu Khalil. Ali Yafei starts in 3rd, alongside himself is Mohammed Al Barwani in P4. P5 is Radek Hussain, and in P6 is Sadek Mahoon. P7 is Karim Sharif, and P8 Abdurrahman Al Dafiri. In 9th position it's Abdullah Al Azeh, and in P10 Mohammed Keradine. P11 is Mohammed Idris, and rounding out this 12-car field is George Sadeh. After what was a spectacular race number 1, I guarantee we are in for a fantastic race number 2. As the grid gets rolling, it is Naif Al Faleh on pole position ahead of Wasim Abu Khalil. We are green here for race number 2. Group B is underway for the 2025 MENA Esports Championship semi-finals, and already it's a brilliant getaway from Naif Al Faleh headed in towards the first corner. They're swapping positions further back behind between Al Azeh and Al Dafiri, but at the front of the order they remain as they were. Sadeh has got ahead of Idris into P11 as they take towards this long sweeping left-hander. Fantastic getaway from Naif Al Faleh. He out-qualified the Lebanese Abu Khalil by over a second, and so he should be looking to take an easy win today, but I guarantee that Wasim will not be allowing that as they take towards the southernmost point of the circuit, almost about. The long-winded right-hander, the hairpin corner, is where we can expect to see some fantastic moves. Here they come for the first time then. Number 7, Al Faleh, fantastic driver. And of course, 2025 GT World Series finalist in his own right. Got over 20 world records on GT, and of course is a part of Team Falcons. Recently winning the Esports Org of the Year. He is spearheading this movement that is Middle Eastern esports, and this is not a good start for his closest competitor. Wasim Abu Khalil has got himself a 0.5 of a second slowdown penalty. This will put him right in the crosshairs of Faisal Al Yafei, a 4-time finalist, not able to capture the gold thus far. Barwani, of course, following in behind in P4, is the 2022 MENA Esports champion. That was 3 years ago, looking to reclaim his throne. Of course, if you're unfamiliar with the format, we've got the semi-final Group A and Group B races, 12-car grids. The top 6 from this race will advance, so watch out for that position, which is currently being hotly contested by Sharif and Mahoon as Sharif tries to challenge around the outside. The Tunis driver not quite able to find the gap, but he's on the inside line for the next left-hander and is able to find his way through on Mahoon, who breaks later on the outside line, but he's going to pay the price of it on the exit of the corner. And Sharif, a fantastic manoeuvre to get himself into the top 6. That is the all-important position, which will see him advance to the grand finals. The 2025 FIA MENA Esports champion will not only win $10,000, but will have a fantastic trip to the FIA awards giving ceremony in Uzbekistan, where all the Formula 1 drivers and motor racing legends will be in attendance. So the stakes are high. These drivers will all want to be finding their way to Tashkent as Abu Khalil gets himself that slowdown. This will push him back the way of Al Yafei, who has struggled to keep pace in the early parts of this race. And just for good measure, Abu Khalil will unfortunately pick up some gravel. There is the slowdown. And now Al Yafei, with a little bit of momentum headed uphill and towards the chicane, is able to have a little look-see. Dark clouds forming up ahead. Of course, Group A was hit with a spell of rain which caused the drivers to pit off of their slick tyres onto a set of the intermediates. Here are your three leaders at the bottom of your screen. Already this has been an enthralling start to Group B's race. Group A, of course, took a little bit of time to get into action. If you haven't watched that already, it was a brilliant battle between Mohammed Hadi, your 2024 champion, and Sami Joe Abinakale. Those two will be in at the final. Who will the 6 drivers from this race to meet them there, as well as the other 4 who finished in the top 6. Already we've seen Churef go from P7 to P6. Now he's looking to apply the pressure to Reda Hussein. Reda, of course, very well recognised here in the FIA MENA Esports champion. In the Moroccan qualifiers, he's finished first 4 times. Can he get himself into the top 6 and into the final 12? As Churef is right on the back of him, headed off the exit of the hairpin corner. What can Reda do as they approach the next left-hander completely flat through here? Now they've got to correct the steering and take towards this next straight. The Tunis driver already off to a fantastic getaway, and look at his aggression in towards the next left-hander right on the back of Reda Hussein. Not quite able to find the move this time by, but is certainly on an upwards trajectory. Sadek Marhoun is also following very closely in behind, and this could be a brilliant battle for what is the final 2 spots in the top 6. Of course, you need to get in towards that grand finals. In through the chicane once again. Churef looking very aggressive on the back of Hussein, who in his own right is all over the back of Al Barwani, who is struggling to keep touch with the top 3. Meanwhile, Naif Al Falah has completely checked out the front of the order. He's 2 seconds clear of Wasim Abu Khalil, who has got Faisal Al Yafei for company right behind him. Then we have this brilliant battle between 3 cars for 5th position. Any battling that they do, of course, could push them back the way of Mohammed Karadine. Started this race in P10, now found his way up into 8th position. Karadine, of course, has been racing for a very, very long time, 11 years. Finished P4 last year in the championship, and of course as a former GT Academy driver, as here is Hussein once again on the back of Al Barwani. Headed in towards the left-hander that will switch back towards the right, and then it's all downhill from here and towards the hairpin, where a number of different lines can be taken. There's been a penalty issued out to Al Dafiri for a collision with another car. He's all the way down in P10, and this will help it. This will hinder him quite a lot in his hopes of trying to find his way up through the field, and lots of these guys struggling with the traction on the exit of the corners. You saw Churef on the bottom right of your screen looked very nervous there, but breathe a sigh of relief as he was able to save the car. This battle really is fantastic thus far. They've been following front to bumper once more. And all it takes is one driver to make a late move up the inside line. The hairpin corner approaching now. This could be one of the best overtaking opportunities in this race. Down into first gear for these guys, and then back on the power as soon as they can. And how about this? Lap number 4 is coming to an end. And third position down towards 6th are all coming into the pit lane. Keradine as well and Marhoun, they've decided to pull the trigger and come into the box. The two leaders, Naif Al-Falah and Wassim Abu Khalil, have both decided to stay out on circuit. There's your weather radar on the right of your screen. It's soft tyres being applied. Well, no, they've actually got the soft tyres on currently, and now they're applying the intermediate, so the rain has hit. This is a very similar time to what we saw in the first race. Now, how will this work out? Naif Al-Falah and Wassim Abu Khalil, as well as Alazer, Idris and Al-Dafiri, have all decided to stay out on their set of the slick tyres for one extra lap. They'll be able to fill up ever so slightly less, giving them less pit time in the box. That should save them a little bit of time, but of course, running in slicks on a wet circuit can make it very, very scary, and you can see how Al-Falah is having to tiptoe around the circuit. There he is in the left of your picture, looking to make his mark in the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship, a series which continues to grow year on year. It's an FIA-sanctioned event for the first time in its history. And here is Naif. As you can see, beautiful graphics we have on GT7. Me personally, I'm watching the gap between Al Yafei and Al Dafiri for 5th and 6th position. And it seems like the slicks have a little bit of pace still. Got some life left in them. We'll see how this one works out. Will Naif try and come into the pit lane this time by? Indeed he will. Very interestingly enough, in the first race, of course, we saw everyone coming in around about lap number 6 and 7. This time they've come in just a few laps earlier. Here is a battle for 9th position at the minute between Karim Shuraif and Sadek Marhoun. Marhoun with a great run off the exit of the corner. He'll look towards the inside line and towards the next right-hander, and now they're going to go wheel to wheel through here. Sadek Marhoun has a fantastic run as they approach the chicane. Karim is going to back out of this one, and they're still side by side, and a brave and bold move from Sadek Marhoun gets himself into 9th position ahead of Karim Shuraif. The top 5, meanwhile, have all come into the pit lane and have strapped on a set of the intermediate tyres. This will allow for Al Yafei, Al Bawani, Hussein, Marhoun and Shuraif to all regain the positions that they lost once they pitted. Now, Shuraif has dropped out of the top 6, and as it stands, he will not be advancing into the grand finals. That place is currently being held by Sadek Marhoun. We flick on over to Reda Hussein and Al Bawani. Battle for P4. Both of these two are safe into the next session and into the grand finals, but anything can change. You've got to keep your wits about you. You've got to stay aggressive. Now Mohammed is actually beginning to catch Faisal up ahead as well. That is the battle for P3. And it seems like pitting later was the ideal strategy. Naif Al-Falah 2.2 ahead of Wassim Abu Khalil, who's a further 5.4 clear of Faisal Al-Yafei. We are on board with Reda Hussein. You can see the two drivers on the left of your screen. Mohammed on top, Reda on the bottom. And look at the intent, look at the focus on these two faces. They approach now the next left-hander, tiptoeing through here, trying to use all the circuit that you can, but not daring to look off the racing line, where of course it is going to be completely slick. Grip will be non-existent, and that will be especially scary in these high-speed corners. A nice battle shaping up for 3rd position at the minute. The battle for 6th is just a few seconds behind them. This could all change in the blink of an eye. This time by, we're beginning lap number 7 of 13. So we are past the halfway point, 6 laps to go in this race. A very disappointing run off the final corner for both Al Bawani and Hussein. Approaching turn number 1, you can see they're trying to just get any semblance of visibility that they can. Al-Bawani missing his apex ever so slightly, a big correction from Hussein there. He's been able to keep it on circuit. As now the gaps are beginning to spread out a little bit, of course. Racing in the dry and in the wet are two completely different ball games. It's very difficult to follow, very difficult to overtake. You just have to follow, and that has been a big correction for Reda Hussein, who is now falling into the clutches of Sadek Mahoon in P5 and P6. As they stand, they advance in towards the grand finals, but you want to have the safety buffer of another car between yourself and bitter defeat. Mahoon then, following in the wheel tracks of Reda Hussein. In towards the hairpin they go. Hussein looks to be a little bit more tentative off the exit, and it seems like Sadek has got a nice run headed up the hill now towards the left-hander. A brilliant circuit, the Nürburgring Grand Prix track, and I believe for the grand finals it will be Monza that these drivers are taking to. Two very different circuits, a real test of drivers' skill in every single discipline. To heavy braking zones at Monza. We should see plenty of late overtaking maneuvers. Hussein once again struggling on the exit of the corners, a little bit loose at the rear. It seems like Sadek Mahoon is just that little bit more confident in the cockpit at the moment, and you can see in towards the hairpin they go. Hussein very tentative, Mahoon a lot more aggressive as they follow along one another once more in towards the final corner. If Sadek can get a good exit here, he'll have a fantastic opportunity to take P5. But if any mistakes are made, Karim Sharif in P7 will be eager to retake that P6 and get himself into the grand finals. Lap number 8, 5 to go in this race. Everyone has made their pit stops, and so it's just about getting the car to the finish line. First gear through this left-hander, then short shifting to try and get more traction. This is where Sadek Mahoon has been a lot more competent than Reda Hussein in the low speed corners where you need to get the power down as early as you can. It's really playing into the hands of the Bahraini driver. Of course, his fellow countryman Ibrahim was able to get himself into the grand finals. Will Mahoon be joining him as well? That remains to be seen. As they follow along one another once more in towards the slow hairpin. Let's see how these lines differ from one another again. Mahoon very aggressive into the corner. Hussein prioritising an exit, a good exit. And that seems to be the case. And in fact, Sharif has found himself into this battle. Now just 6/10 to the rear of Sadek Mahoon's Toyota Supra. A 3-car fight for P5 and an awful run for Hussein off the exit of the right-hander. This will open the door for Mahoon once again. In towards now the next right-hander. He's going to look towards the inside line of Hussein, and this is where it's getting exciting. Now back on the power as early as they can as they take towards the flat-out right-hander. Sharif actually has the better run. Mahoon compromises exit and headed up towards the hill. He will look towards the inside line, selling the dummy on Sadek Mahoon. They're side by side in towards the chicane. They go almost into the rear of Hussein, and this is a brilliant battle as Sharif is able to make it around the outside of the second part of the corner. Sadek Mahoon caught napping there. Now Mahoon has gone back through. Sharif is going to use the momentum on the outside to get a good run headed down the main straight, and has got a nose just about half a wheelbase in front of Mahoon, although Mahoon will have the inside line. So what can Sadek do here? As down the inside he goes in towards turn number 1. Karim Sharif has just got to hold his nerve around the outside. He'll have the inside for the next left-hander, but a snap of oversteer will allow for Sadek to go back through. A brilliant battle that we're witnessing here at the beginning of lap number 9. Karim Sharif fighting for every corner that he can, trying to find his way into the top 6. This is the cut-off point, of course, everyone. This is the all-important position, and this is where you need to be in that top 6 to advance to the grand finals. Of course, the FIA MENA Esports Championship, a fantastic competition. We had 650 registered drivers from 20 countries across the Middle East and North Africa regions, and these are the best 24, 12 of them in this race. The top 6 advance to the grand finals, and only 12 can call themselves 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship Grand Finalists. Sadiq once again is right on the back of Reda Hussein. Karim Sharif is in the fight, he is there, and any mistake that these two in front of him make, he will pounce on the opportunity. They are 9.5 seconds clear of Keradine, further back behind them, and so they have nothing to worry about. It's just about holding their nerve for the last 4 laps of this race, and an awful run from Sadiq Mahoun, followed by Karim Sharif, who unfortunately cuts over the chicane. That will kill the battle just for a little bit. Sadiq Mahoun getting it all wrong, and Karim seemingly using his rival in front of him as a bit of a reference point, and that hasn't worked out whatsoever. Now that he will hug the inside line, Karim Sharif following in his slipstream. They're just trying to cool down a little bit and catch some visibility. Oh my goodness me! I think Sharif has gone almost right into the back. Indeed he has! Karim Sharif has made a massive error as the sun begins to shine back on the Nürburgring GP circuit. Karim Sharif gets it all wrong in that first corner. Has he ruined his chances of making it to the finals? We are in a transition period once again where the rain has stopped, the sun is shining. And now the track will begin to dry up. But is it too little too late for these guys? Is it too little too late for Karim Sharif? 3 seconds deficit to Sadiq Mahoun, who is at the cut-off point now. Mohammed Al-Bawani is right in front of these two as well. Could easily see himself eliminated if all goes wrong in the last couple of laps. How will this race pan out? It was a straightforward affair in Group A. Group B has been a whole other story. Here are your two competitors racing for their for one of the final spots in the top 12 and into the grand finals of the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship, the 5th iteration of what is a fantastic series growing every single year. Here comes Sadiq Mahoun once again into the chicane, taking that very aggressive line on the back of Reda Hussein. I don't believe anyone will be trying for a set of the slick tyres. I think you've got to hold out on the intermediates right towards the end. And as I say that, Karim Sharif into the pit lane. This is a bold and brave strategy. He is coming off his set of the intermediates, making a 2-stop strategy in a 13-lap race. Incredibly intriguing scenes here. No one else will be pitting off their set of the intermediates. It's soft tyres going on for Karim Sharif. He is a long way back, 31.2 seconds stationary. And he'll rejoin the circuit on a set of the slicks. But the circuit still incredibly wet. You can see the dry line just about forming at the minute. If you tiptoe off of it, you will find no grip whatsoever. You're dancing on a knife's edge, but you can see the spray off the exit of the corners is real paramount here. Nevertheless, we will see how this one pans out for P5 and P6, now 11 seconds ahead of 7th position. These two have just got to remain calm. You don't gain anything from going up from P5 to P6. or sorry, P6 to P5. You just have to stay in the top 6, not make a mistake, and you'll see yourself into the finals. This time by, it will be 2 laps to go. We have not seen the 2 leaders in a very long time. We've been locked in on this battle. It's Naif Al-Faleh, 2025 GT World Series finalist in P1 at the minute. Wasim Abu Khalil is in 2nd position. 3rd is Faisal Al-Yafei. We are watching the battle between Mohammed Al-Bawani, Reda Hussein, who gets it all wrong, headed in towards the chicane. This will be the opportunity to take P5 for Sadek Mahoon, currently running in P6 at the minute. Through and towards the final corner they go. Sadek is going to remain behind for the time being. A critical error from Reda Hussein, which has seen him drop now 2.5 seconds to Mohammed Al-Bawani ahead of him now. And if I'm Reda, I'm looking in my mirrors a lot more than I'm looking in front of me, because there is a very angry, very hungry Mahoon behind him. Here they go for the penultimate time in this race. Now this is where it gets scary. The tyres are on the left-hand side of your screen on the timing tower. These guys pitted a lap early and they are burning up their rubber on a drying circuit. The fronts really taking a beating for these guys. The rears are hanging on, but 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are all struggling on their tyres, as is 3rd position of Ali Yafei. Al-Faleh, Abu Khalil, Al-Dafiri, Idris and Al-Azhar should all be okay. Sharif, of course, has already pitted onto a set of the slick tyres. Kerridene's lost a position now to Al-Dafiri. And I wonder, Al-Dafiri is beginning to catch up to these guys quite a lot. Could we see some last lap drama? Mahoon struggling with the tyres, losing massive amount of time. All of these guys struggling on their sets of worn out intermediate tyres. Al-Dafiri, who took a 5-second penalty for causing a collision earlier on, is on the precipice of potentially clutching his way into the finals. We're on board with him now. This track is continually drying with every passing corner. The sun in its setting state beating onto this track. Now it's 4.3, the gap between Al-Dafiri and Mahoon. All of these guys on a set of the intermediate tyres, barring Karim Sharif down in 11th position. Kerridene, who is struggling the most, I think, out of anyone, is dropped all the way down to 10th position. When just a lap ago, he was in 7th place. The final lap has now begun for Naif Al-Faleh. All he has to do is nurse this set of the intermediate right to the finish. The battle we are witnessing right now is Al-Dafiri. Started this race down in 8th position, 5 years racing experience under his belt. We'll see if he is able to catch Mahoon in 6th. But here is your leader, completely uncontested in this race. 5.5 seconds clear of Wasim Abu Khalil in 2nd position. It is Naif Al-Faleh. 5 years racing experience, a 2025 World Series finalist on Gran Turismo's highest stage. 20 records on this game and a part of the biggest esports organization in the world. Further back behind, Sadek Mahoon is really beginning to catch Al-Dafiri. No, apologies, the other way around. Mahoon is being caught by Al-Dafiri and in towards the right-hander. This could be the position lost for Sadek Mahoon. Al-Dafiri. This is incredible stuff. Abdurrahman in towards now the hairpin corner for the final time in this race, has got the exit and he's got the position made. Incredible stuff on the last lap. Here comes Karim Sharif. Incredible scenes, pitting twice in this race. He's found himself into the top 6. Al-Dafiri, for a fleeting moment, had his place in the finals booked completely. There's still an opportunity for him to get through on Reda Hussein, who once again is struggling at the front of the order. Al-Faleh has won this race. Here comes Al-Dafiri trying to make the move on both Hussein and Al-Bawani. He's trying with everything, clutching at straws to remain in this fight. But he's got to slow down. He's stopped. And that will end his chances, his hopes. He's out of fuel. He has run out of fuel. And that is heartbreaking for Abderrahman Al-Dafiri. Incredibly sad. Faisal Al-Yafei will be able to hold on to P3. He will come across the line in 3rd position. But what a strategy call. Take a bow, Karim Sharif. It was an insane gamble. Al-Balwani will come home in P5 and Reda Hussein will finish in 6th. And Sadek Marhoun misses out on the top 6 by just 1 lap. Mohamed Idris finishes in P8. Al-Azhar in 9th. Keradine in 10th. Al-Dafiri in 11th. And Sadeh, unfortunately, finishes in P12 for him. But what a strategy call from Karim Sharif. You've got to say, that is the star moment of this race. Al-Faleh wins ahead of Abu Khalil. Al-Yafei finishes in P4. 5th is Karim Sharif. Apologies. He's in P4. Al-Balwani is in P5. It's 6th position for Reda Hussein. Sadek Marhoun finishes in 7th. 8th is Mohamed Idris. Al-Azhar in 9th. Keradine in 10th. And oh dear, a big spin there for George Sadeh. That sees him eliminated as the top 6 advance to the finals of the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship. An incredible race for Group B's semi-finals. The top 6, we will see them all in the final race.
What an action-packed day filled with incredible racing, bold strategies, close calls, and unfortunately a bit of heartbreak for some of our drivers. But tonight, we celebrate 12 competitors who have earned their place in the grand finale of the 2025 FIA MENA Esports Championship, which will be broadcasted live tomorrow. 12 drivers, 1 dream, 1 trophy. Who will rise above the rest and take it home? Join us tomorrow to find out. Thank you for watching, and good night.